What is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. 2017 iPad Pro versus 2018 iPad Pro 11-inch. Is the 10.5-inch model. We're going to do some benchmarking tests in this video to see which one it does have more power. Well, we know it's the iPad Pro 11, but does it really show at this current time? So let's go ahead and show you that everything is going to be closed out in just a second here, and then we're going to go ahead and begin with Geekbench. So let's go into Geekbench. 3, 2, 1, and you could see that the iPad Pro 10.5 launches that a little faster, as this might not be totally updated, but you have an A10X Fusion chip over here. It's clocked in at 2.34 gigahertz, and over here for this iPad you do have the Apple A12 CPU that's clocked in at 2.48 gigahertz, a little bit higher clock speed. Both do have 4 gigabytes of RAM. Let's go to CPU, and let's go to CPU here, and we're just gonna run a quick CPU benchmark, and I'll be back when they are done. Okay, so you can see the final Geekbench scores are in. On the left, you can see 3,985 on a single, 5,030 on a single core for the 11-inch iPad Pro. So that's a big improvement here for single core. Multi-core is like double as fast here as well for the iPad Pro 11-inch from 2018, goes up to 18,027, 9,566. Respectable scores nonetheless on last year's Pro, but this one is just substantially better here, at least according to this Geekbench test. Now we're gonna go ahead and run an Antutu benchmark and see what kind of scores we get here. You've seen that launch first for the 11-inch. Let's go into start testing, and I'll be back when we do get to the final scores on these. Okay, so we're pretty much almost through this test, but I want to chime in for just a minute. You can see that while the iPad Pro 11-inch is winning, it's not substantial. Like the iPad Pro 10.5 is keeping up. So if you want to save a buck and just get an iPad Pro from last year, you're not really going to suffer too much when it comes to the performance difference between these two, it looks like so far. Although it looks like the iPad Pro 11 took a little bit of a bigger lead. Like I say, in the real world, it hasn't really shown too much. So I'll be back when we get to the final scores here of this Antutu benchmark. Okay guys, so here we are at the final results of Antutu. You can see 563,184 for the iPad Pro 11-inch. That is a monster score, and it likely will do much higher than this one, almost doubles it here from the iPad Pro 10.5 at 277,800, but it wasn't even that far behind in the actual testing. So I don't think most apps on iOS are going to take advantage of this type of power, but if you are a gamer, you definitely will see smoother graphics on the new one, as well as probably better launch times as well. So gamers, definitely this was going to be the one to go with, the iPad Pro 11-inch, but for everything else, I think the Pro 10.5 is still very powerful. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and run a 3D Mark Slingshot test to see which one is first. On this one, we're gonna hit render, or not first, but has a better score. And here we are. I'll be back when they are done running this benchmark. Okay guys, so it looks like the iPad Pro 11 has froze here on this application, and you could see having issues right there. So we're just gonna go ahead and just eliminate that test. Let's go into Luma Fusion, but that's a good thing to tell you about this iPad, since you just seen it crash right there, or not crash, but it froze, is that a lot of applications aren't ready yet for this iPad Pro. Developers haven't updated them to fully be working with this yet, as these iPads just came out of nowhere. So I don't think everybody was ready to update their apps just yet. So let's go ahead now and do a rendering test. So we're gonna do this on Luma Fusion. They're both the same 3-minute 1080p 60 frames per second clip here. I'm gonna put it at 60 over here. For the right side, this is the iPad Pro 11-inch, and over here, let me go back to movie and photos, and let's go ahead and see that it's still H.264 on both. Both have the same size. Let me hit start here. It's going to be slightly off because I don't have 4 fingers here to go ahead and click over there, but 3, 2, 1, and see which one can write it first. I will be back when they are done, as we're not going to sit here and watch the entire render. Wow, so that was pretty surprising results there. The iPad Pro 10.5 finished at 1 minute and 41 seconds, and this one finished at around 1 minute and 44 seconds. It took me a second to click the button because I was shocked that it just beat the Pro 11. So definitely about a 3-second difference here when it comes to that render. That's pretty shocking, but this app is actually probably more optimized. It had more updates. It's been on the market longer, this iPad. So I think after a few updates, you might see this application, Luma Fusion, take more advantage of this new Pro. So if you're still doing video editing, getting last year's model shouldn't slow you down too much when it comes to your render times. But that's only one app. That's not enough. Let's go ahead and do that same video in Imovie to see if there's any disparity here. Now, I did put a filter, one I typically would not use in an actual video, but I did this for just to make the render a little bit harder on these devices. Probably not going to do much, but put a fade on here as well. And let's go ahead and render this thing out. So we're going to go ahead and click done on both devices. And then I'm going to go ahead and click this guy right here to share. And we're gonna save both of these videos at their largest 1080p size. 3, 2, 1. And see which one can actually export this movie first. I will speed it up. I'll be back when these are close to the end. Again, the iPad Pro 10.5 just beat the 11-inch by 2 seconds here. So it finished at about 52.69, and this one finished at about 54.88. So about a 2-second difference on the render. Again, just a 3-minute video, but if you think about it, that's a pretty fast render time. Under a minute to render out 3 minutes of video with filters on both. These are both very powerful at video editing render times, at least for a mobile device. So pretty incredible on both, but a little shocking that the older Pro is getting a better time. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and run a speed test. Both are connected to the same Wi-Fi network, so we're just going to see which one can give us just a little bit of a better time here on the speed. This can be network dependent, but since they're connected to the same Wi-Fi network, if there's a big gap, then that means one is significantly better than the other. We'll begin with the iPad Pro 10.5 on the left, then we'll get on to the iPad Pro 11-inch in just a second. So you can see we're getting around 169.7234, almost 180 down on the iPad Pro 10.5. And what are we going to get on that upload over here? So 179 on a download. On the upload, we're about 11.8, maybe going to crack 12 here on this iPad Pro 10.5. And then we'll check out the iPad Pro 11. So 11.9. Let's check out the 11. Let's see if there's a big difference here. So pulling in around 172, 174. Looks like we're going to get a close to the same speed, maybe a little bit less here for this iPad. 176. So doesn't look like there's going to be a big difference or disparity in your Wi-Fi speed. However, you know, both of them do give you LTE connections. So if you do want to use LTE, they both offer that. So not going to be a big difference here in Wi-Fi performance. And lastly, I want to run a JavaScript SunSpider test to see which one will give us a little bit better of a browsing experience, maybe in terms of the speed of opening web pages and stuff like that. So you can see off to the left, this one pulled in a total of 137.8 milliseconds there to finish that test. Over here, 113.5 milliseconds. So the iPad Pro 11 should give you a faster browsing experience. So that's it. Between the 2017 iPad Pro 10.5 versus the 2018 iPad Pro 11-inch. Now, what you've seen here is that basically the iPad Pro 11-inch, not all the applications are ready yet, and there's a lot of letterboxing going on a lot of these applications. So this one actually feels a little more polished right now, even though it's not as, you know, beautiful with the design. However, after some time, I think Luma Fusion, iMovie, everything will get updated here on this device, and it will actually start taking advantage of that power. But it has so much power that I think we need more desktop grade type applications on the iPad to actually use what the A12X can actually offer. So being that they're both iOS, if you're looking for a great value, last year's iPad Pro is still plenty fast and you could find it significantly less than this one. If you like the new design with the Face ID and all of this, you know, gesture mechanism, you know, function, this stuff, you will really want the iPad Pro 11. It feels like a much different experience just because of the new design on this device. Overall, what is your take? Do you prefer last year's iPad just solely because it's a better value maybe, or do you prefer newer iPad and you just can't go back to that one? Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, click that like button for me, and if you're new here, consider subscribing for more. Take care, helping you to master your technology. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to be well, and peace.